Hi there. So behind me is a applied energistics controller setup known as the Sathroller, which was designed by Sathrov from the ATM10 team. And basically what it is that an applied energistics controller, and this is set inside of a 7x7x7 area, so it's abiding by all the applied energistics rules. And it maximizes the surface area around. So we have 672 faces inside of this controller, whereas with something smaller like that, we're going to have much less faces to pull channels from. And each of those faces can provide us with 32 channels, giving us a total of 21,504 channels from this one controller. The way we are able to use all of those faces is through P2P tunnels and wireless connectors. So by combining those two things together, we get this contraption that allows us to use a subcontroller. So this is our subcontroller that we can power these P2P tunnels with and pull 32 channels from each face of this controller, giving us the total 21,504 channels. So this thing is completely overkill and unnecessary, but because it's a cool thing, I wanted to set it up, and also I wanted to make a video on it. So now that you kind of know what it is, let's go ahead and take a look on how you build it and how you use it. Let's build this monstrosity. So as you can see, it's going to require 228 controller blocks, and I only have, like a stack of each of these things. But I have it set to restock in my wireless terminal settings, so it's going to keep it there. I have this little cross set up. This is going to be the bottom and center. So this block in the middle will be the center of our controller. You can place it anywhere you want. Just make sure you have a 9x9 area at least. And we are going to start with the main controller first. I'm just going to build a little 3x3 like so on each corner of this plus. That block in the middle is incorrect. Then we are going to build up. Also, guys, make sure to check the description below for a link to the written guide for this controller and also the link to my previous video talking about applied energistics. So once you have the bottom layer of these 3x3 controller things built, you can go ahead and remove the center cross and merge the two, or merge all four of them together by connecting the middle center blocks like this. And go around and do the other side. So this is the bottom layer all built, and we just have to do the same exact thing one block higher. So we'll start with the four that connect the center blocks. Like that, and then on top of these four, we make another set of those 3x3 cubes. And once you're finished with that, we do the same exact thing by controlling or connecting these center blocks all around the controller. All right, and that's it. This is our controller built. Just to test it, we can go ahead and put a gate on it to power it to see if it's turning red or if it's fine. And as you can see, it's sliding up in different colors, which means this controller is totally valid and it's working. The remaining 20 controllers is for a 3x3 subcontroller, which we're not going to be building yet. So I'm just going to put those away. And let's find, where did I place that gate? Here it is. I'm going to remove this for now. The next thing we want to do is surround every single face of this controller with P2P tunnels. So you can start anywhere you want and just cover the whole thing with P2P tunnels in between the cracks. Every single face that you can see gets a P2P tunnel. To go inside of the controller, we're going to use the personal shrinking device and set it to its absolute minimum size. so that we can fly in there and be super small. Be very careful when you're using this. So you can see this is an ME P2P tunnel. If I accidentally right click this with it, because it has stored RF inside of it, it's going to convert our P2P tunnel into an energy P2P tunnel. And that's not going to be good. So you want to make sure every time you're using this, I think it's best to just come outside of the controller, look somewhere else, make yourself smaller, fly inside of it, do your thing, and then fly back out to make yourself bigger again. That way you don't risk accidentally clicking and changing these from an ME P2P tunnel into an energy one. Because once you have 700, however many P2P tunnels set up, and you turn on your controller and look at it, you might see there's like, hey, 2 energy P2P tunnels, and good luck finding those. And there are 2 ways of going inside of a controller. One is flying through this center block. So at the top or in the center, you would go through here. And the other way is by going through the center of the 3x3 over here. So this will give you access to this inside, which is completely separate from entering from the top like this, for example. So I'm going to go into the top in the center place, and cover all of the faces in here with P2P tunnels. And once everything on this in the center is connected with P2P tunnels, so every single face gets a P2P tunnel, you can fly back out and then enter through this hole on the side, and there's even more over here. All right, as you can see, the top level now has P2P tunnels everywhere. And once that's done, you can start descending into the bottom layers. Whoops. So here's the center connections, and then all of these guys will get it as well. All right, the centers should be all done. Now it's just the faces left. So let's go ahead and quickly finish that up. So it appears that I have connected every single face, but you can see I have 3 P2P tunnels left, and I would recommend you guys do this also. Make the exact amount of P2P tunnels that you need, which is 672 P2P tunnels. That way when you're done, you can tell if you've covered every face or if there's something missing. In our case, I am looking around, trying to find that one. It's probably a corner like this or something that I missed. Here's one side. Here's another. Aha, this took me forever to find. There's the last one. So once you have used every single one of your 672 P2P tunnels, you know that you've covered every face of the controller. Up next, we're going to start connecting all of these P2P tunnels together. Next, we need to connect all of these guys with cables and to the wireless connectors, which is arguably the hardest part of this. We are going to start with putting a cable in the center on the face over here. A small cable, of course, and then we connect those together, and we put more small ones down there, and we connect this together, and we wrap around the edge over here. So we're wrapping around the edge on the face, on this face, and then we're leaving this top one open and the bottom one. And we have 3 individual ones over there. Now, before we move on, we're going to color these guys. I'm going to use just 2 colors, I think, light blue and black. So these ones, I'm going to color them all as light blue. Then we will put dense cables here and here. Color those guys as well. We add another dense cable in the center here, and place a wireless connector on top, and make sure you color the wireless connector to light blue as well. Next up, we need to do these rings. So go ahead and do all the way around these rings. These rings need to be a separate color, so we're going to do our black. Once you have the rings done from each of the 4 corners, we are going to bring them up 1 cable, color these black, and we will put dense cables in between, color those black, and we have our second wireless controller that connects here, also colored black. So here's the side view. Now we repeat the same pattern on all the other faces, but they're going to alternate. So when we're looking at this one, you see how we have the horizontal section that's connecting, that's wrapping around the edge to this side. So how the blue cable is showing up over there. Then on this face, it's horizontal, and the vertical section is the one that's short that doesn't wrap around. So when we look at the face next to it, it's going to be flipped 90 degrees. So now we're going to have it wrapping around vertically like this. So in this one, the blue cable wraps around horizontally. On this one, we're going to have the blue cable wrapping vertically. So again, we do that section and the center here. A dense cable in the middle, connecting all of those together. Actually, before placing the dense cable, let's color it. So we place the dense cable in the middle here, and our wireless connector is going to go on top. And now for this side, you see how we have the dense cables on the sides and normal cables, top and the bottom? It's going to be flipped here. So we're going to have the dense cables on the top and the bottom, and normal cables around on the sides. So once you have this set up, you're good to go. So the pattern is behind the wireless connector, there's a dense cable, and then whichever the long side is, so this is the long side and here's the short side, the long side gets another 2 pieces of dense cable on the top and the bottom, or the left and right side of the wireless connector, whatever side the long is. So we have vertical long here, dense cables go on the long side. We have a horizontal long here, the dense cables go on the horizontal sides. Now it's time to do this face with the black cables. Then same thing, we build up the inner corners by 1 normal cable. Put down a wireless connector, make sure it's the same color, being black in our case. And then we put the dense cables on the sides to connect them together. Make sure that one is black as well. And we continue wrapping around. So on this side, the long piece is going vertically. That means over here, it's going to be horizontally. So that's where we're going to start. Placing those 3, all of the center blocks. We put a dense cable in the center here, connecting it all together. And another dense cable here. Then we connect these guys and color everything blue. Then we can place our wireless connector, make sure that is blue as well, and then do the ring. And since this one has the dense cables, it doesn't really matter how you connect the dense cables, but this one I have it horizontally and this one I have it vertically. So I'm just going to do the same thing, so it's flipping on every face, but you can have it the other way as well. Oops, I meant here. As long as your black cables don't connect to the blue ones, you'll be fine. All right, let's move on to the 4th side. Same thing. So now you see the 2 blues that are wrapping around this way. That means our long side is going to be vertical for this one. Once you build a couple of sides, the pattern will kind of make sense to you, and then you can quickly do the other ones. So we are done with all of the sides. Everything is covered, and we're just going to go continue upwards. So it doesn't matter which direction you're looking at, it's still exactly the same. So in this case, we have this way wrapping around. That means our long side is going to be like this, up and down. So that's where we will start. Make sure these guys are all blue. Put a dense cable in the center here. Wireless connector goes on top. Make sure that is colored blue. And the long side gets the dense cables next to the wireless connector. And the short side gets connected with that. All right, now we do the rings. Bump up the corners by 1 block. Color those black. And then since these guys have the dense cables on the side, I'm going to put it on the adjacent side. Not that it matters, but just for consistency's sake. Then our black wireless connector goes over here, and we color that black. And if you wanted to double check, just hover over it and you can see it says color : black. And the last side left to do on the exterior is the bottom. So again, you see that it's wrapping around there. That means we're going to have to wrap around on this side. So you go 1, 2, 3, and in the center, this inner block, we're going to quickly color that blue. And put a dense cable on top, color that blue. And then these corners all get blue as well. Wireless connector goes on top, that gets colored blue, and the long side gets the dense cable directly next to the wireless connector, and the short side just gets connected with the normal cables. And let's do the rings on the bottom side. Bump up the inner corners by 1 block. Make sure they are black. And since the dense cables are in this direction, we're going to put the other dense cables for the black cables in this direction. Wireless connector in the middle, color that black. Okay, so with that, we are done on all of the exterior. This is how it's going to look. Now we are going to enter the top through the center of the 3x3s. So where you have those black rings, that's where you're going to fly through. And we will be on the inside. We're going to stand in the middle here, and we want to start with by looking down, and we're going to do the second and this one, right? So I've made a little section of the main controller to kind of show you how we're going to handle the inside part. This cube represents the top, one of these top cubes in here. So we have 4 of them on the top and then 4 of them on the bottom. And you can tell, so we have this cube here, and then we also have this plus sign that's connecting it to the bottom cubes. When you go on the center of this thing, you want to connect the plus sign. So we're going to put a cable there, and then we're going to put a cable on the bottom section of that and all the corners. But not the center. The center is where your wireless connector goes. Right, so we have all the sides, the top, and then 2 on the bottom that are connected. And we're going to pick one direction. It doesn't matter if it's this direction or the other direction, and we're going to connect one more of the plus signs to over here. So let's imagine it's on this side. We're going to connect this plus sign as well with this color. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like in here. We will start with blue, for example, and fly in through here. We're going to go on all of the corners, and this direction going westwards, I have picked to do the long one. So the westward direction is going to have 2 of those cables. And then we're going to have the top and 2 on the bottom. But before we do that, let's color this guy light blue, as well as this one, light blue. So again, remember the west side is where our extension is, and we're going to go in that direction. So once you do that, we're going to back up just a little bit, put down a wireless connector in the middle, make sure the wireless connector is light blue as well. And then we're going to go towards the west, where we have those 2 long cables. Now we're over here. This one, we're going to have to do black so they don't connect together. So there's black. And then it's going to, because that was the long direction for the blue one, now it's going to be in this direction for the blue one, going northwards. So each corner you reach, it's going to be 90 degrees offset. And again, remember the bottom, when you're working in the top 3 cubes, you always go down 1 below, if that makes sense. Black, 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 black. Okay. Now that we're going northwards, we're going to sneak in the corner, put down our wireless connector. Oops, I want to sneak in the north corner. Put down the wireless connector, and we can color this black as well. Let's fly through, make sure that is black. And now we're in the northwest corner. This one we are going to be doing blue. So do the bottom and then the 4 corners. And we're going to have to go east. So in coming in that direction, we came from the south coming north. Now we're going to be rotating 90 degrees and going east. Up next, we're going to be flying east. So let's hover in the east corner, put down our wireless connector in the middle here, make sure the wireless connector, make sure the wireless connector is light blue. And we put another light blue cable here. We do the same thing, go 2 below. This is going to be black. Again, be careful when you're changing colors not to right click on the P2P tunnel, because it will change it to an energy P2P tunnel. So make sure it's the ME2 kind. Okay, and we have completed the edge. So you can see that one's the blue one that we don't want to connect to. So we put a black one here, another black one here, and then we're going to go one of the corners where you can escape from. And then we can put our wireless connector over here and make sure that's black and go outside. So now if you look, each of these corners on the top should have black and blue alternating. Then it's time to do the lower corners, and we're going to be doing the exact same thing basically, where we pick one direction to put an extra cable down for the connection in between. But on the bottom, we don't have to go down because we've already connected one on the bottom. So let's say we start at this corner and this on the top is black. So it means we're going to have to do blue on this one. So we do all 4 sides for blue. And then in this direction, I'm going to choose to go long. So we can put our wireless connector down here, make sure it's blue, and then put 2 cables. Oops. 1 blue, 2 blue, and now we're over here. And we can escape from here. So let's hide in this corner and put our wireless connector down. Make sure that one is black and walk out. Okay. So now the inside of these corner 3x3s are all done. And the one last thing left to connect is to go through the center. So I'm going to go from the top. You can go from any side you want, but you want to come to the middle of all of those 3x3s where the wireless connectors are on the outside. And you're going to fly down and sneak through the cracks here. And we enter this center part like so. And you can see there's this whole section in the middle that we also need to connect. So the first side we're looking at, we're going to want to build a plus sign like this. So we put a wireless connector in. Since this is blue, we're going to make it black so it doesn't connect. Then these 4 sides of the plus become black as well. And now we're going to do an H over here. So in this case, we will need a third color because this part is black and this one is blue. And if we go over here, it's connecting to both the black and the blue. So we need a third color, and I'm going to use white for this one. So we go on the corners like so, and make sure these are all white. So we place the white cables on the 4 corners in the center, and we're going to connect those with another set of cables like that. Just the normal ones are fine. So you have a tall one like that. And in the center, we put another wireless connector, color that one white. So now this one in the middle is connected like an H. You can see all of these are connected. Then on this last section, we're going to do another plus with the black cables. So here's corners for the plus sign, and let's change that to black. And our last wireless connector will go in the center, connecting to the black. Make sure that one is black. All right, and with the center all set up, we can fly out the bottom. And that should be everything. So now all of your P2P tunnels are connected with cables connecting to wireless connectors. So we are done with the building portion of our main controller. But before we move on to the next step, let's have a quick review of P2P tunnels. And if you guys haven't seen my previous episode, specifically the part where I spend 40 minutes talking about P2P tunnels, you might want to review that if you're not too familiar with P2P tunnels. But I'm going to do a quick review here of the main important points from that video. Basically, P2P tunnels are devices in applied energistics, and just like any other device in applied energistics, they require channels and power to run. So these P2P tunnels you can see are offline, and we can provide them power by simply putting down an energy acceptor with some power on them. And in this case, I'm going to change these to redstone P2P tunnels just because it's easier for demonstrations. And we can put a lever there. You can see when I add the energy acceptor and give it power, these devices turn on. Right? If I remove this, they will. There it is. Okay. So those guys turned off, and we can power them by just putting an energy acceptor down. Now, in order for these two to work and for this to output the redstone signal, they also have to be connected, and you do that with the memory card. So we're going to shift right click to set a device configuration on this, and then we are going to right click on the next one to paste that over. And if you take a look, it says this one is the input side and this one is the output side. You can only ever have one input side, but you can have multiple output sides. So now that they're online and connected, when we turn on the lever, you can see that it transmits the redstone power. So I want you to imagine whatever is going into this face of the P2P tunnel into the input side, that exact same thing comes out the other end. And in order to make the P2P tunnels work, you just have to give them power and channels for them to operate. Now, if you remember from subnets, every time you have a subnetwork in applied energistics that doesn't have a controller, you can at most have 8 cable subparts. The reason for that is because if you don't have a controller, there's no way to organize your channels so they exist everywhere along the cables. So right now you can see this cable is using 2 of 8 channels. That's because you have 2 devices. If I add a third device over here, a third P2P tunnel, you can see now the entire cable is using 3 channels, even though in this section, from this point to here, the only device on it is this part. So it should technically only have 1 channel, right? But because these channels can't go to a controller, they exist everywhere on the cable. If I go ahead and add a controller here, for example, you can see that changes. So now this cable only is using 1 channel because that goes to our controller. This one goes to our controller, and then this one goes to our controller. So all of these offshoots are only using 1 channel for the 1 device that's on the end of the cables. But this one in the middle that brings all 3 together, you can see has 3 channels on it. So what that means is anytime you have a subnetwork with more than 8 devices, you're going to have to use a controller. And in our case, we have 672 devices on this controller, 672 P2P devices. And we need to provide each one with a channel. So if you take 672 and you divide it by 32, that means you basically need at least 21 faces of a controller to be able to power all of those. Because if you pull a dense cable from a controller, for example, you could power 32 P2P tunnels with this one, but we have 672. So we're going to need more sides. Basically, a 3x3x3 controller is going to be enough to provide channels for all of these P2P tunnels. But because we have this old controller set up here as a 5x5 and it has a little bit more breathing room, it'll be easier to do it this way. So I'm going to use this old controller and repurpose it as our sub controller. So from now on, this is going to be our main controller, and that is going to be our sub controller that's going to basically give channels for our P2P tunnels to work. So I am going to disconnect everything from this controller. And when you do that, you're going to lose access to all of your items. So make sure you have your wireless connectors, your setup kit, you have all of those things with you. I also want to wipe everything clean in case somebody is setting this up disconnected from their other controller, then, you know, they won't get confused with the other stuff that I have going on. So let me clean this up and I'll bring you guys back. So here we have just a simple 5x5 controller setup. This will be our sub controller that's going to power all of our P2P tunnels. So here we have our main controller with the 208 controllers. And then this one, the 44, is going to be our sub controller. The first thing we need to do is connect this controller to our P2P tunnels. And if you follow these cables, you can see like this cable is connected to the P2P tunnel, right? And those all flow into these wireless connectors. So on the other end where our controller is, we have to set wireless controllers to be connected to these guys. I'm sorry, I mean wireless connectors. And we have 23 wireless connectors in total inside of here because each one can supply 32 channels. So just imagine where this wireless connector is, for example, there will be a cable coming and attaching to this controller to be able to power all of those P2P tunnels. Instead of running cables all the way to this one, we're using the wireless connectors. And also we have to use wireless connectors because a dense cable won't be able to do so many, like we can't put a dense cable on the inside of this because it's only a 1 block gap. So without the wireless connectors, this controller setup is impossible. Anyways, so we need to link the 23 wireless connectors from our main controller to 23 wireless connectors to our sub controller. And I'm going to do that by just putting them on top here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then we need 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. What's important about these ones, it doesn't matter where you place them or what size your subcontroller is, as long as it's at least a 3x3x3, it will work. This one's 5x5x5 in our example. These wireless connectors, you cannot have 2 of them the same color and none of them can be fluix. So we're going to have to color all of these. Let's grab our color applicator. Here it is. And I'm going to do the same thing as, so these ones are black and light blue. I'm going to use black and light blue for these guys as well. You can do any color you want. They don't have to be the same color as those ones. So we'll start in the corner here, and oops, this one will be black. We'll skip one and then do black every other one. And then the ones in the middle will be light blue, like this one, this one. And then same thing over here. We'll have black, black on all the corners. And then the three in the middle should be light blue. Okay, so these guys are all colored, and now we just have to hook them up to that controller over there. I am going to give our subcontroller some power, so I'm going to put a gate on it, about over here, to power this up. That way, when we start connecting these, we will see what's going on. So let's just start off with the first one. In the corner here is a black one. So we're going to bind it to that one, and then here is the other black part. And you can see when I put that on, all of these P2P tunnels kick on. And now they are connected to this. So if we look at this controller, we see 32 P2P tunnels that are connected to it. And that's 8 on each of these guys. 8 times 4 is 32. If we go ahead and connect the one in the back, so we shift right click to clear the settings, right click to bind it to that light blue one, and this next one we can say it's that. So that is connected, and now you can see the light blue cable turns on, and all of those P2P tunnels are lit up. So when we look into here, you can see now we have 64 P2P tunnels. We just connected 32 more. So we're going to do that same exact thing. So we'll connect all of those over here. So those ones are on. And the next one. We will slowly connect all of these. Right, so you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these guys set up. And that is 2 wireless connectors on all 6 faces of it. 6 times 2 equals 12. Now we need to connect the ones in the center. And we can just continue doing that by, so here's a black one. So we're going to copy the black one. And then if you kind of sneak through in here, you can tell that one's a blue one, so I'll skip it. And then I'll go into this one, which is black. And we right click and you can see those guys turn on now. And then we can grab the next one, which should be blue. So clear the settings, right click to bind it, and we can hook that one up over here. Again, these colors don't have to match with those colors. I'm just OCD. That's why I'm doing it that way. So let's grab the next black one, which will be here. And the last blue one. So now everything on the top is connected, and we need to do these bottom ones. This one is black. So we grab it and we can put that right over there. The next one will be blue. There's another black, and the last one. Okay, and that leaves us at these 3 that we need to connect in the center. We'll need our personal shrinking device, and we're going to make ourselves small again and go inside. Anywhere you see these outside wireless connectors, you can just kind of follow along the sides and enter in the middle. So now in the middle, you can see we have 3 wireless connectors, the 3 left. So the ones on the sides here are black, and then the one in the center is the white one that we set up. So I'm going to start with the black one, copy that, and let's go outside, and we can set that up to this guy. And then we're going to grab the next black one, which will be this one in the corner, and enter in the center again. So that one is connected. Here's the next one. So that's connected. And then I'm going to clear the settings and grab the white one as well. So we don't have to come in here again and connect that one over here. So you can see, even though this is blue, it still connects to the white one just fine. But just to make sure, or not to make sure, but just for OCD reasons, I'm gonna also make this one white. So if you access any of these, you'll see these are the 3 wireless connectors that we have in the middle. This is the H that we did. This next one is somewhere else on the inside, next to that white one. So that's the inside corner. This is the corner next to that one. So you'll be able to see where all of these are connected. Anyways, so we had 672 P2P tunnels connected to this one. And if we take a look at this controller, we should see all 672 P2P tunnels showing up here. This subcontroller is just going to help provide channels for our P2P tunnels so we can power them and use them. So they are all now directly connected to this controller and receiving the power and the channels from this controller. So let's see how we're going to use this. Remember, each P2P tunnel is like a tunnel, right? So we have a train of 32 channels on every face of this controller going into this tunnel, right? That means we need to access that tunnel on the other side somehow. So we need to bring out another P2P tunnel here. So then from there, the train of 32 channels enters, let's say this P2P, and we want to bring it out over here. So what we can do is use our memory card now to shift right click on our main controller, because that's going to be the input side, and to assign that. And then we can come and paste it over here. And now this is the output side, and whatever we connect here will be connecting to that controller. So let's say we put an energy acceptor so we can power that controller, right? So the energy acceptor goes down over here and we can give it power, and you can see that turns on. So now that is powered. If you look over here, we cannot see the energy acceptor because this is the tunnel. So the tunnel doesn't see what's outside of the tunnel. So where this energy acceptor is, I can demonstrate a little bit easier if I pull cables out and do that. So imagine this is the train going to it, right? And this is coming out of the tunnel. So we don't see that because this is the train. And in here, you don't see any of the P2P tunnels. So you only see those 2 dense cables that are connected to the energy acceptor. Since this is our main controller, everything we have is going to be connected to this main controller. So all of our devices, our energy acceptor, our drives, our terminals, everything will be connected to this main controller. That's providing us the 21,000 channels. And then this subcontroller will just be managing those P2P tunnels and powering the P2P tunnels. So we want to be careful not to connect this side because, again, this cable, this is the train, right? This is a direct link from this. Imagine instead of this P2P tunnel being here, it's the face of the controller that is part of this controller, right? That means if I run a cable from here to this controller, everything's going to break. Why? Because now that we've made a direct bridge between the 2 controllers, because that tunnel is going directly to this face of the controller. So it's as if this cable is going into here, and then that comes out of this P2P tunnel and it's going and connecting directly to this one. So that causes issues. So we have to be careful not to cross our 2 cables together. So where it's coming out of the P2P tunnel, we have to be careful not to cross that with the network that's part of our subcontroller. Otherwise, the system will break. So we have 672 P2P tunnels, and each one requires 1 channel, and each face of our subcontroller can provide 32 channels. That means we can divide the 32 channels by the 672, and that gives us 21. So with 21 faces of this subcontroller, we can power and use all of those P2P tunnels. So imagine this is one, and you can pull 32 channels off of this cable, And over here, we can place another one and then connect it to one of the P2P tunnels there. And then on this end, we can also use 32 channels over here. So anytime we need access to more channels, all we can do is pull a cable from the face of our subcontroller, set a P2P tunnel on there, and then we will have access to 32 channels on the other side of the P2P. So with that, let's go ahead and hook up all of our stuff to this controller now. So we already have P2P tunnels set on all of these things, right? And we can link those directly. It's already set up and we can just link them directly to those P2P tunnels. We just have to connect this cable to the controller over here. So here I can grab that and just go up there and you can see 10 devices are online. So we have 4 P2P tunnels here. We have 4 P2P tunnels here. That's 8. And then this one is 9 and this one is 10. So with those guys, let's color this black just to keep it the same. If you really wanted to keep it separate, I would suggest coloring every cable that comes off of your subcontroller a different color, so you don't get it mixed up with that one. Because right now we have no cables connected to this controller, right? Every cable is only connected to this one. So this one coming down and connecting here is basically the same as the wireless connectors going and connecting to those blue guys. So here I have that black cable connecting all of those P2P tunnels, which means we can start linking these, right? So I'm going to always start at my controller, and this one that we set up, I'm going to use this again because that one was wasted, right? And in this corner, we have 60, we need 32 channels, right? Because we have 4 towers of 8 pattern providers, and each of those require 8 channels. 8 times 4 is 32. We get 32 channels from one face of this controller. So with this one P2P tunnel, we can power all of those guys. So let's go down there, and now that is connected with this cable. So we can come down here and paste that P2P tunnel with the new code here. So you can see now 8 channels are being carried. Same thing over here. So we hook these guys up. And I did this one already, right? Okay. So now with those 4 connected, we should see the 32 pattern providers that are using channels, and then the 64 circuit slicers. These guys aren't using channels, they're just getting power. But you can see that these 32 pattern providers now show up because they're connected from there. So let's do the same thing with the other 4 over there, and we can just grab the next one. So again, we shift click to set a new configuration. We go down here and we connect these guys. Okay, those 4 are connected, and if we go check, we should be able to see over here. So there's another 32 pattern providers. Now I have this assembler, this matrix, and the assembler that also need to connect. And I don't know what a great way of doing that would be, just because it's so crammed over here. What I could do is just put another P2P over here. And it's kind of a waste, but it's okay. So then we can connect it like that. And we need to hook that up. So let's grab another face, like this one, for example. And we can come over here and connect that guy. So now this should kick online. It's not because our controller doesn't have any power, but we'll deal with that in just a second. Same thing for our assembler. We can come over here and put a P2P tunnel on that. Right over there. Hook it up. And we'll hook it up to that. Okay, so you should be able to see, yep, here's our quantum computer hooked up, and our assembler matrix also is hooked up. So let's also, because right now this pattern or this controller, our main controller over here, has no power, and we need to power it. So let's hook it up to our power that we have down here. And you can see we have a wireless connector over here. So we need to connect that wireless connector to our main controller. And this subcontroller is getting power because I put a gate on it. Where's the gate? Somewhere. I think it goes back here. Here it is. So we have this Ender gate powering it. Obviously, we can't put an Ender gate on this controller because every face of the controller has a P2P tunnel on it. So we have to power this one with an energy acceptor. Lucky for us, I thought about this before, and we have our energy acceptor down here connected to this wireless connector. So all we have to do is just connect that wireless connector up somewhere in here. And we can do that simply over here. So how about we grab another dense cable there. So we'll put this wireless connector in the center over here, and we can hook this one up. Oops, we can hook this one up to no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work because we need a P2P tunnel in between. So let's put a P2P tunnel. Where's my wrench? We'll put a P2P tunnel over to this wireless connector, and now we can pull 32 channels from here. So we can do that. And hook this guy up to another one of these. So let's grab that one, for example. Okay, so this is now connected to our main controller. And then we can use that to connect to our setup down here. So now with this online, it's connected to the energy acceptor and the flux accessor, and you can see the power starting to drain quickly. And our main controller right now is turned on because we have that one wireless connector. You see how it's showing these two wireless connectors? Those ones are this in the middle. So we have this one connected by the P2P, and it's connected down here as well to our energy acceptor, which is getting power from our nitro magmators, and that's powering our controller over here. Now, if I put down a terminal over here, there's nothing connected to this controller for us to see our items, right? All of the items are connected to this controller. I don't have my drives set up yet, which we'll do in a second, but basically what I can do is pull a cable up from there. And if we use cable anchors, I have cable anchors, I do. So we can put cable anchors down here to make sure it doesn't connect to any of those, and pull our cable over here, and we can set it up similar to before. And this time we'll make it blue just because I like the way blue looks. And we can put our terminals there. So here's our encoding terminal, our crafting terminal. And now we can see all the items that are able to be crafted here. We still have to hook up our quantum ring. So let's do that. I don't think I did that, right? Yeah, so I want those quantum rings to also have access to 32 channels because just in case we want to add something later on down the line. So what I'm going to do is grab a new face. Let's say like this P2P tunnel, right? So I grab that one. That's going to get linked to that guy. Now you can see that turned on. And we can grab that guy for our next wireless connector, or the quantum ring. Okay, and that is hooked up. So everything should be hooked up now. We can put down our, what is that thing? This guy, our access point. How about right over here? And we put the card in there, and we can link our wireless terminal one more time. So now we have wireless access to all of our items, except for the ones from the drives. So let's see. These drives, I want to make 16 of them. We're missing iron because of they're in our bulk cell. So we have some things in this cells. Let's just set this up. How about somewhere over here? We'll do that. So this guy's using 13. We can add 2 more on it. That's no problem. And we can link, let's say, this guy. So we'll grab that. And I want to set up 16 drives over here. So we will need 2 because the machines can only take 8. Actually, what we can do is just use 1. And we'll put it up here. So here's this 1. And now this can transfer 32 channels, and we can grab the dense cables to kind of do that. So these guys all have power, and they're connected. So now let's make 16 of those drives, extended ones. It's missing ingredients because I haven't set down our decompression module. We'll put that guy back here. Okay, now with those guys, we can take these off. And we'll make some more. Because I want it to be even. How about we just do this? 15 of them. So all of these should be online now because we have 16 and we have these dense cables that can do it. Because if we only have 1 dense cable, these machines won't be able to pass more than 8 channels in between each one. We have more than 8 drives, so we need more cables to take care of that, basically. All right, so now these drives are connected as well. Let's put our drives back in there, our cells back in there. So I'll have my item cells over there. And then down here on the right, I will put our FE cells. In the middle, we can put our infinity cells. And then our bulk storages can be in the second row. The bulk storages, we're going to set the priority up higher. That way things will go into there first. Okay, now everything is connected and back up and running. So the way you use this main controller now, if we take a look on here, everything is shown up in here. Our 15 extended drives, our storage buses, it's all connected to this. And our sub controller only has the P2P tunnels in it. So you power the P2P tunnels with your sub controller, and then everything coming on the other end, like coming out of the tunnel, is what's connected to your controller. And you want to make sure everything is connected to this main controller. Otherwise, this controller won't have access to like these drives, for example. If you have the drives connected to here, and the rest of the stuff connected to your main controller, then obviously the two controllers aren't going to be able to talk to each other. I hope I did a good job explaining how this works and how to use it and why we need a subcontroller and, like, you know, why it is like this. It's completely unnecessary. You're never going to need 21,000 channels. But it's a cool thing, and it's a good way to test your knowledge of P2P tunnels and how they work. So I would suggest you try it out. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode. In the next one, when we come back, we will be out of the tutorial phase of applied energistics, and we can kind of chill and get back to how I've been making episodes for the NoBees series. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.